date calculation and constant value calculation, do you have any idea on this? So here you can find one more thing in the condition thing. If you go and create, you can see different types of calculations. So under result, again if you create, you can find again many number of calculations are there over here. Okay, so this bill date calculation. So bill date is nothing but for example, you were asking like number of dates, right? So what you have to do is first you have to build a date for that, specifying some starting of the week from this day to this date is a week, right? So if you want to configure that number of days or whatever in your this thing, then you have to go with this year. So I'm just checking for current calendar year. Otherwise, you can directly build it as 2019. But I don't want manual process because like if this accrual we are using like every year, so I want the bill date calculation to happen on its own. So that's why I'm not giving any manual calculations. I just want to use current calendar year. And month you can define the month like whatever month you want. Like February I'm giving. Like if your pay cycle start like every from you were saying right, Abhishek, from July to some date it will be no, from July to July, like some companies like international companies they use from July to July or May to May or March to March. So if you want to specify an accrual from that date to that date, you can use this calculation like from this month this date starting should be this date for accrual. So how do you do that? So how can you use that in result? Because um, shit. Okay. So first thing is directly in result we can't use this bill date calculation because If you are using the bill date calculation, the output it will be shown in the form of date, but we don't want the dates, right? We want like accrual, like how many hours or how many days should be given. So this should be used in some other calculation, like where we can use, we'll see that. So here, like if you are taking the first operand like bill date, if it is like so and so is equal to or is greater than or equal to or is less than or equal to, if you specify the second operand, that this depends on your requirement actually. Like if you want to build something, you can build, and you have to use value comparison because you have to compare whether the dates and everything are properly there, or this. So what I'm using is greater than or equal to 1. That means like if we are taking January month, if it exceeds, like if it comes to February, right now in this calculation I've given it as February. So if this satisfy the condition like greater than 1 means after January only this date will come, right? So this condition should satisfy saying that like from February onwards for the current year, from so and so date, I have specified the date as 1. So from that date onwards, the accrual should be uh, like how many hours you want to give. So in that instances, we can use this value comparison. We can build a date and we can give it over here, and we can compare it with this one like this. So the same thing again, build date calculation you can't find in what do you say, instance comparison things, because this is not an instance. This gives a value to us. Value is nothing but like date or any in the value format, like numeric format. So you can't use them in instance related things. Yeah. So it is showing us we should have the same format. Okay, I'll create. Okay, so then if it should be credited exactly on 31st, then you can give it as like equal to, otherwise you can just give it as like greater than. So the next day on this date it will be credited. So this won't come in the result part, then just remove it. See, why I'm using like conditional calculation means under conditional calculation, like whatever other calculations you take. For example, you were asking me to take like show me the other calculations, right? We'll check them. Even I'm not sure like how to use them. We'll try using them. So these are all for compensation plans. So
These
you
all
can
are for
specify if the
compensation calculation.
yeah. So if
To
we
create
have, for
compensation
example, like
calculation.
you are having, yes, yes. So if you are using, for example, for non-exempt employees, it will be like, hourly base salaries will be there. For exempt employees, it will be like um, semi-monthly or monthly salaries will be there, right? So for them, if you want to specify if the compensation plan is so and so, for them, this should be the accrual, or if he is like under salary plan or hourly plan or period plan, whatever may be the plan, this should be his accrual. Then you can define in this way. You can select multiple of them. Yeah. So the thing is, if they are falling into, if the employees are falling into whatever the time of, sorry, whatever the compensation plans we have specified in this one, we can specify them some result.
Mm-hmm. Uh,
So for this result
Avantika,
also, we can create
mm-hmm.
few, yeah,
No, just finish this, then I will talk. Just complete
yeah.
this conditional
So for
calculation.
this result also, we can create again conditional calculations in this one as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you were asking me something.
I was just want to discuss something with you. Like rather than taking like multiple like different ad hoc scenarios for different things, like for the
Mhm.
accrual or the calculations. So why we should take a project, like we should start creating, let's say take a requirement for let's say any country, specify some requirement for it, for accrual, how it will schedule, what will be for hire, what will be for the existing employee, what will happen for termination, and let's try to create a time off plan, time off and accruals for that, and let's try to cover all, like whatever we can cover in, let's either it is a calculation or accrual or any scenario in
But
time,
like
like time.
you were asking me to explain all the
No,
calculations,
no.
right? What are all
I
there?
was
So that's what.
I'm asking the same thing. I'm asking the same thing. But I wanted to take it as a project. Let's say we have some requirement. Like you create some requirement for a country. So what should be the first step? Like we will create a plan or accrual or anything. So just we should go step by step and cover all the topics for the time of, like time of thing, not for the leave. Leave will take a separate project. For time of, we should take a project and should try to cover all the concepts in that project. That will be more easier to like to connect with the things, right?
See, if I take it as a project, for example, if I take it as a project, in that all the calculations, whatever you have asked, won't be available. For example, if
So
I take for
that is
US or
fine.
some other country, yeah, you are fine with that, right? So
It
then I'm fine. Yeah.
yeah. No, no. It's correct that we cannot create all the condition in for a one time off. We can discuss them, like these are the other calculations, and this can be used like this and this way. But for this scenario, we're going to use. So we'll try to cover maximum, like all the like maximum possible calculations in that particular project. So that will connect. We can like if we're creating some plan, we can test with some user. We can see how it is looking. You're getting my point, and it will connect all the things like calculation, accruals, scheduling, plans. eligibility.
See, that's what Abhishek. If I tell you, like, only this scenarios we have used, like, for whatever project I take, then you will ask me like, okay, what are the other calculations? How will I know that? Okay, how to use other calculations and all that. So if I'm saying like, okay, these are the calculations, what are all involved, and in this cases we are going to use, in this cases we are going to use, and again you have come back to that same thing, like you are asking me like a project now. So
No,
that,
no, you didn't get me. We'll try to, let's say there are 10 type of calculations. For a to create a time of plan, accrual for a time of plan, let's say there are one or two accrual for a time of plan. For those two accrual, let's say we can use maximum three type of calculation or four type of calculation. So we will come to know about that four type of calculation. So you should like create a requirement which will cover like all the important calculation in it. For the remaining, we can go orally like these are the remaining calculations and these are this functionality. These are the cases where we could have used this. That's it.
yeah, that's what I'm saying now, Abhishek. Like whatever I have used, I explained you first only, like instance value and uh, comparison. I told you for what we have used, but you were asking me like what are the other calculations in between,
Yeah, that's fine. That's
right?
fine. We will ask the same question even if you are doing the project. But the if you are doing the project, that's the simple assignment. So we can connect the
Okay,
things.
give
Like
it.
we are
Like
creating a calculation, we
whatever
are not using
requirements
it
you have.
anywhere. We don't have currently any like any such requirement on like at one place. You can create any requirement like you have worked for you might have implemented for any like in your previous projects. So create a requirement and we can work on that. Even if we get when you get the tenant access, we can modify, we can copy that particular calculation, we can tweak the condition and can check how it looks, right?
Okay.
It will be better, like we can better connect the things. Currently, we are learning the things, but we are not able to connect, right? If we take the simple project, we will able to connect everything around that.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So do you want me to cancel this and start again?
Conditional calculation, I hope, is clear to everyone. You have explained it, so we can go to the next topic
No, no.
and like. Mhm.
Okay, for now I'll explain you like so under this calculation I've explained you what are the types of calculations we can create and how do we use them, right? So here priority also I've
Mhm.
explained you. For example, like you have say for one country we have sick time off and vacation time off and bereavement time off and other time offs are there, paid time off. So how do you prioritize them? So first is sick time off or any other time off. Just give it as like one. vacation is 2. So like that you can define the priority number. And yesterday I've told you like adjustment overrides are allowed, right?
Right.
So if you enable this,
Mm-hmm.
you can enable sorry, you can adjust the time of balances for anyone, okay, who are all eligible for this
Mm.
accrual. You can adjust their time offs, okay. And when coming to the front
Okay.
loaded accruals, so what is the difference between front loaded based on as of date and none? Okay, none I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure for. Most probably we'll use for rollback accruals. For that accruals we need like as you were saying, like we'll be using custom frequency. So if you are going for custom frequency, you have to uh, put this as none, okay. And you have to create two
Okay.
accruals. One is for calculation, like for example, if you are giving it a calculation as 20 days, so one accrual is for
Mm-hmm.
20 days directly, value will give, and other accrual will create as a rollback thing. So I'll explain you what is that rollback thing when we are going for that project. You are asking me, right? I'll
Okay.
show
Yeah,
you
that's
what
fine.
is, yeah, how do you go with this front loaded and based on as of date. So front loaded is nothing but, so when you select front loaded, it automatically gives an error. Do you know why it gives? The thing is, like in Workday, it is set up in such a way that when you give it as front loaded, we should mandatorily mention the scheduling part. Okay, why we have to mention the scheduling part? If it is front loaded, it is nothing but if you want to start from the month of May, as I told you, like for international employees it is from May to May. Like few of the countries they have like that, like May to May. So when you put it
Mm-hmm.
as
May to
front
April.
loaded on May, yeah, on May first day this year, you'll get accrued like a bulk, on a bulk like 20 days if you are giving here in your calculation, or any conditional calculations you have used, like some people will get 20, 30, 40, like whatever may be the accrual, that doesn't matter. So if you give it as front
Mm-hmm.
loaded on May 1st, that employee will automatically get that 20 or 30 days. Okay, so you have to specify
Okay.
in the scheduling part, like when do you want to start. For example, if you want to start in the month of January, so can give it as scheduling. You can see here weekly hours. I don't know like what are all these things. I think they have created, and some are like Workday uh, owned calculations are there. So if you want to schedule according to your requirement, then you can create calculations in this as well. So you can see here comparison calculation. So weekly hours. So again, this one is like delivered by Workday. Weekly hours is greater than or equal to 39. So you were saying like if the employee has worked greater than 5 days or less than 5 days, you were saying me something yesterday, right? So if you have this
Mm-hmm.
type of conditions, then you can specify over here in your scheduling part. But if you want to go with annual thing, you have to select like first period of June, first period of, like if it is like June basis, like June to June or something like that. You can specify the month. Here you have month also, first period of the month, first period of the year. So this is for annual thing. So basically what we'll take is, I'll show you. If it is like annual plan, you have to go with the first period of this current year
Mm-hmm.
as of, because we have to consider uh, people who are joining in the mid period and people who are terminated also, right? So there should be a condition
Mm-hmm.
which is defined by Workday itself. So can give like this also, payment date month is 01, like January, then it should be credited. Like on the payment date, it will be credited. If it is like semi-monthly payments, like on 15th you will get your payment, right? So if it is 15th your payment date, on that date this accrual will be credited. Okay. Yeah, we have to go for annual thing. Yeah. So we have to consider this. Most of the times we'll go with this only, like first period of the year based on period end date, or mid period hire or termination. Okay, whoever is hired in between, or like whoever is terminated in between, for them we are scheduling it. Like whoever is terminated, automatically the balance will become zero for them. So if you take the scheduling part, so if you take this mid period higher, for them they'll get whatever under this we'll be using calculations, right? If the higher person is in this month, this should be accrued or something. So according to that, it will get accrued. Okay. So most of the calculations they'll be using this, but depending on your requirement, you can schedule like which period you want to schedule, which month. You can create yourself and you can use that. Otherwise, there are many other fields which are delivered by Workday. You can use them. But for front-loaded accruals, you have to define scheduling. That is must and should. And time calculation tax, it is your wish, because this is not time tracking related, right? So it is not required. Like on most of the time of plans we won't use, but if it is for compensation basis or for payroll basis, if you are using this, then you can go with the time of calculation tax. So I'll explain you, sorry, not time of it's time calculation tax. So I'll explain you what are this time calculation tax in time tracking session. Okay. And when you come to based on as of date, so I explained you, right? This is like front loaded, means like on a bulk we can accrue for an employee. Based on as of date means like there is no need to specify in the approval, like if the higher month is so and so, if this is so and so, this should be accrued. Based on as of date, if you specify this thing, if the employee is hired in between, based on that effective date, it will automatically adjust the if you are giving like 20 or 30 days over here, based on as of date, if the employee is hired in the month of like June or July, automatically it will adjust and it will give you the remaining days, like 20 divided by 12, how much it will calculate, and it will give you for that from that month onwards. Okay. For this there is no scheduling required. Like that is your wish. If you want to schedule, you can schedule, but based on as of date, scheduling, most of the time scheduling is not required for that. Okay. And we have this thing called as time of plan overrides. So time of plan overrides, if you are defining the custom frequency, uh, when you are creating the time of plan itself, there you can define custom frequency, or here also you can define, if we have like two or three accruals under one time of plan. So you want to define a custom frequency for only for first set of accrual, but not for the second set of accrual, then uh, you can specify the custom frequency over here. So you can specify the custom frequency over here. Otherwise, for both the accruals, if you or one only for one accrual, if you want to define the frequency in the time of plan itself, we can define. You were saying, right? You have all. I think you have already used this under calculations. We have this frequency thing. So for the entire time of plan, if you want to set an frequency method, you can do that. But if you want only for the specific set of accrual, then you can define it over here. Okay. So if you give this like start of the period, it's fine. If you are going with custom frequency, then you have to give first accrual date, and accrual occurs every. So you have to fill all these fields, and you have selected like custom frequency. So custom frequency is nothing but we haven't given any scheduling part, right? So first accrual date, when it should get first accrued, or like in the month of March or March 1st or whatever date. So that thing you have to define again through bill date calculation, in which we were using, like I have shown you, right? Bill date calculation. So you have to build a date for that, and you can specify the date over here in the first accrual date. Okay. and worker eligibility. So worker eligibility is no, like in a time of plan, like we have two or three set of employees. For example, for interns we have separate accrual. For fixed term employees we have separate accrual. So how do you define the worker eligibility? If we have a time of plan for a bunch of employees who are all workers, that is different thing. Like only for workers we are specifying one time of plan, but under workers if you want to define in the form of like contingent workers, this should be the accrual. For interns this should be the accrual. For trainees this should be the accrual. So if you want to define like that, then how do you define the worker eligibility for one accrual? So you can define it over here. So you can see here regular, fixed term and apprentice is there, but I don't want all these people. I just want like interns. So you can just copy this calculation. You can remove this fixed term and regular. You can use only intern, fixed term, trainees. Okay. So are you good with this now? Accrual part. I'll explain you the you are asking me like project thing, right? So tomorrow we'll create in the form of a project. Like we'll start with the time of plan actually. So you'll understand like under time of plan where you have to create accrual, where you have to create the time of plan, and where we have to define the worker eligibility. Okay. So if you have any doubts in this part, like except the calculations what you are asking, so you can ask me, I can explain you.
Oh, it's fine.
Okay. Whenever we create a time off or something, the unit is non-editable once you create it. Is there any reason
Yes,
behind it?
yes, exactly. Yes, recently like in this workday 32, you are using 32 version or 31?
I guess it's 32.
Yeah, I think 32, right? So in this 32 version we got this snapshot thing, like whatever you do it is like effective dated and all that, and you can't edit. If you want to edit also, we can't edit this unit of time at all. Unit of time, track balance, we can't edit them at all. When initially when you are defining your time of plan only, you have to define them properly, otherwise you can't edit them. We don't have any
Okay.
other
So
option to edit. Either you
once
can
a time
you
of
can't
plan is
even delete the
created,
time of plans, I think so, right?
okay. So once
Yeah.
a time of plan is created and it is in use, and we just have to change the unit, so we have to create another time of plan in that case.
Yeah, exactly. Create the other time of plan, and the previous one you can just disable it. Like you can remove the eligibility for that.
Okay, fine. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So you know how to remove the eligibility for that?
I haven't removed. I was just checking. There was one requirement with us, which in which we just have to change the unit, and it was not allowing. It was
Yeah.
allowing everything, but it was not allowing to change the unit.
Yes. Yes. Previously, we used to have edit option, but when this version had come, from that time onwards, we are facing problem to edit the units.
Okay.
Even though
Okay.
we take the initial snapshot, also it is not allowing us to edit the units at all. I think you have tried with the initial snapshot. I think so, right?
Yes.
It will ask you like effective dated, update existing date.
Uh, it asks for
So
effective date,
yeah,
but still that field is uneditable.
yes, yes, that field is uneditable. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like whatever we are using, it is not working for unit at
आगे
all.
Hmm.
पहले कुछ नहीं हुआ.
Uh, But
What
I
is
think so you
initial,
can use
Avantika?
accrual like, sorry.
What is in initial snapshot? What does
Initial
that
snapshot is
mean?
nothing but, yeah. Initial snapshot is nothing but like whenever today I've created this accrual though. So this is the initial snapshot.
Okay.
Okay. So when you are trying to edit this accrual, it will ask you like, should I go with initial snapshot or you want to update? Sorry, you want to add an effective date for this accrual. Basically, it's like audit for auditing purposes. We can use this snapshots. For example, in the initial snapshot, you haven't put some conditions in this time of override plans, and in your
Hmm.
second when you are editing your accrual at that time, like your manager has asked you to put some conditions in this accrual, so you will put some conditions in this accrual, so you can check in the initial snapshot, okay, what are the things were there, and in the second snapshot, like the on this today effective date, what changes I have made. Just for auditing purpose we can use this.
Okay, let's say we have created one accrual,
Hmm.
and after some time, there is a requirement change in we have to change something in accrual. So, what is the preferred way? Like, we should update the initial snapshot, or we should add a new effective date?
uh, if you go with effective dated, that will be good, because like you can see what differences you have made from initial snapshot to effective dated snapshot. So if you go back to
Okay, so
original changes, for example, you have done some mistakes in this effective dated thing, so that is not working out right now. So what you should do, you can go back to
so
your initial snapshot and you can enable it. Yeah.
okay, so let's say in January there is for a country which accrual happens, all every accrual, like all the balance gets accrued in the month of January, which is 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and let's say in June there is a requirement to change the accrual to from 30 to 24. So
Mm-hmm.
we have, let's say we add a new effective date, 1st of June, and change the calculation to 24. So what will
Mm-hmm.
happen for the employee? Like when they, let's say an
Nothing.
employee
His
does not have
accrual balance will
applied a
be
leave,
changed. His accrual balance
even
will be
they
changed.
choose a January as a day, let's say they on the calendar they select
Mm-hmm.
as of date to, let's say, 1st of Feb or 1st of March, so they will see the balance as 30 or 24, because this new
It will
accrual
show
is
you as
effective
like
from 1st of June.
1st of June. So is that like
Accrual is
front loaded?
effective for the
Because like
1st of
as
June.
you were saying, like 30 days you have given in the initial year, like starting of the
Yeah,
year. If you are giving it as front loaded accrual, and if you want to change it back to 24, you are saying you can edit the accrual to 24.
yeah.
So if you edit the
And
accrual to
I've
24,
updated the effective date. Come again?
you have updated the scheduling part again.
It's not in like our requirement. I'm just asking what will happen.
Yeah,
So we
that's
have
what
not
I'm
done
saying.
anything
That's
like
what I'm
that.
asking. Yeah, you haven't done, but the thing is, like, my question is, for example, in the comments I write, see, like January, you have given 30 days or whatever you were saying, right? So,
Mhm.
and again, in the month of June, you want to edit it.
Yeah, and we have changed the effective date also.
You, okay. So, effective dated, you are saying accrual you have edited and you have made it to 24 days. Like, here the calculate in the
Right,
calculation you will just give it as like 24 days.
right.
Here in the
So
calculation you'll
how
give
it
it
will
as
behave
24
for the
days.
employee?
It will show it as 24 days only, right?
There is
Even
no
if
effective date,
if we
Abhishek, I
change
think.
the,
In create
so
approval,
what
there
is
is
the
no
use of
effective date.
effective date? Let's say if you have not changed the accrual, let's say we have changed the eligibility. Let's say some employee was earlier eligible for this plan, and now we have changed. Now we have changed some condition in the eligibility criteria. Now let's say
Mm-hmm.
from 1st of June he is not eligible. So what will happen on the calendar? if he select date as the 1st of June, will can he or she can apply to this particular time off?
He won't be able to apply because if you have
And
changed the
if he
eligibility condition, if he's not, he can't see the
and
time
if
off,
he
right?
and if he select a date, let's say 1st of May, then also he will be not able to apply that particular time off.
First of what?
1st of May,
1st of May.
because this change is
He is
effective
trying
after
to
1st of
apply.
June, right?
If you put the effective date from month of June, from June first week only it will be effective, right? Accrual will be effective,
Correct.
and he'll be shown 24. If he is eligible, then he can apply from June month onwards. If he is not eligible, he can't apply from June month, but he can apply before May, right? In the month of May, he can apply.
This would be the and
So
how
if
much
you are
approval he
giving
will
the
see?
effective 24. In the month of May, he
Mhm.
can see 30 days. In the month of June, starting from June, he can see it as 24.
Yeah, that is what it should happen. Like if we put a effective date like the 1st of June, something has changed into the accrual, that should get into effect after 1st of June. When I select date after the 1st of June, if I select, let's say I want to apply a past dated leave. So let's say if I choose for 1st of May, I should have seen
Mhm.
the like 30 days as my balance, not 24.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 30 days will be
Not
there for
vague.
you,
If
like,
you have to change something, you have to be careful. Like when to use effective date. So anything, there are
yeah,
multiple
that's
options
what
for
I'm
effective
saying.
date. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So when you are specifying the effective date as in the month of June, that employee will be eligible for 24 days from the month of June itself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Fine then,
Okay.
Shadrul. Even do you have any doubts? Like I'll be closing the session.
No, that's it.
Yeah. Fine. Thank you.